Welcome to the MVP Show. Full show notes for this episode can be found at nz365guy.com/341. Before we chat with today's guests, here's a quick message from our sponsors. Today's show is brought to you by the 90-Day Mentoring Challenge. It's amazing what can change in 90 days. You just need to take a look at, March 2020 and how things changed for a lot of us with COVID spreading around the world. The past year, I've had the pleasure of mentoring hundreds of people in the 90-Day Mentoring Challenge, and I'll be looking at doing another intake in the near future. So if you're interested, it's totally free. nz365guy.com/mentoring is where you can find out more information. With that, let's get on with the show. Today's guest is from Melbourne, Australia. He's a senior technical solution architect for Dynamics 365 Finance and Operations. He became an MVP on the 1st of May this year, so nice and new. He's chapter lead and founder of both the Pakistani D365 Power Platform user group and the ANZ D365 FinOps team. He's also a speaker, a blogger, a contributor in the Dynamics communities and Dynamics 365 groups. You can check him out on Twitter at Faisal Fareed or his blog Dexture, DAXTURE.blogspot.com. Faisal, welcome to the show.
Oh, thanks, Mark. Thanks for having me.
Wow, good to have you on. How does it feel to be a new MVP?
Oh, really good. Feels really good. That's what I was waiting. I was working so hard in last 1 and 2 years, and good to be a part of this MVP community. Super excited.
Totally. So tell us a bit, before we get started, tell us a bit about your family and what's it like living in Melbourne, Australia. I understand you've gone into lockdown again.
Oh, yeah. This lockdown is going ongoing thing now. So we are still in lockdown. We can't go outside except for necessary purposes. So I have one 4-year-old daughter and 3-month-old son. So the family is completed now. It's me, my wife, and 2 kids. We are living here in Australia. We moved to Australia 6 years ago from New Zealand, where we spent around couple of years, I would say, couple of years in New Zealand. So we really enjoyed living in New Zealand, especially because we were the most beautiful part of the New Zealand, Canterbury, and yes, and I will say one should be going there at least once in a life, and that's a beautiful place where we were living. But a bit of an unfortunate, my contract finished there soon, so then I had to move to Australia. So since then, since last 6 years, I've been in Australia and enjoying my love and professional life and my personal life, my work life. It's all good.
So when you were in Canterbury, were you working for Intergen at the time?
Yes, so I did work for Intergen and I did work for Stonewood Homes. So I had a mixture of flavors. Like I did work for partners, and then I moved to customers for Stonewood Homes. So wanted to explore more about the customer's view, how the application looks like. Being a partner, we always think on a positive notes. Like we think like everything will go into the right directions. But being a customer, I wanted to feel the pain. So that's why I moved to the customer side.
Mm-hmm. So that's interesting, because I just had a conversation earlier today about this whole, what's the difference between working directly for an end customer as opposed through partner. Give me the pros and cons of working for a partner, and give me the pros and cons of working directly for the customer.
I'll start with the customers first. Pros are like you will get to know what is the real value of the application. You will get to involve into so many business scenarios which you will never think about as part of as being a partner. So because what we do as a partner and what Microsoft implements, we always go with the best solution or the positive solutions. This will go from end to end. But whereas when it comes down to the this customers, so it gives you a lots of information when end user will start using this application. So you have to train them. You have to go down to their skill level. So you need to understand, okay, if you will ask someone, click onto this one, he or she may not understand what terminologies you are using. So it gives you a lot of different aspects of the application. Just an example, I was my 4-year-old daughter was sitting on my lap a couple of weeks ago, and I was just creating some power app and using some different icons. So she started thinking, Baba, this is a cartoon, this is a smiley. So she was actually resembling all the icons from her level. So so I got really admired. Okay, this is how she's thinking. So I started explaining Power App to her into her language. So this is a cartoon character. This is how this is looks like. So when I was working in a customer, so I used to explain the application into their language. So this really helped me how I can explain into a simple human language. Now, coming back to the cons here, you get stuck with a customer after working maybe 1 year or 2 years. So, a person like me who always tries to explore new things, want to get onto the new challenges. So, uh, then if you have already worked into 1 or 2 years onto the customer, onto the same projects, onto the same product, and you are not, you will uh, most of the time you will not be learning new stuff. So that is the biggest cons for me, and that was one of the reasons I decided to move away from the customer, coming back to the partner side. So you will have now. This is one of the pros from the partner side. You will have access to so many products from Microsoft. You will get involved if you are implementing big customers. You will get involved with so many fast track solution architects. You will have access to all the preview programs. You will have access to all the upcoming technologies beforehand. So that is one of the I would say for me this is the biggest pros for working with the partners. And you also get exposure, understanding this different businesses. You will get to work in different industries, implementing the same finance and operations into marketing, into manufacturing, into the sales processes, into retail. So you will get to know the whole how the businesses are working there. Uh, Cons, I would say, sometimes it's an overkilling. So you have to speed up, you have to keep into the game, and sometimes 8 hours a day won't be enough for you to keep yourself into the game, and you have to spend your family time, your your personal time to stay into the game. So that is one of the cons for me. But for I have been very fortunate. My family is really understanding and always supported me a lot. So this is where I spend around more than 12 or 13 hours a day in last 2 years. Like not only working, focusing on my job, but building a communities and upskilling myself and learning, and also at the same time teaching other people and moderating them how we can go out and how we can present, especially into this virtual world. Physical presentation is easy in my understanding. You will have a face to face interaction with the people. You will know who is looking into your eyes, who is just scratching his head and not listening to you, and who is getting bored, who is just getting sleepy. But when you talk about virtual presentations and virtual speakings, you you have to have that particular element into your speaking that you need to keep your audience in contact with. So that's what I learned in last 2 years, and then I started this Pakistan. Power Platform and Dynamics 365 user group, uh, because this is the first ever user group for Pakistan. So there was no user group before. Uh, then during the last year lockdown, when we were into the stage 4 lockdown, so I was thinking, and in June or July, I realized, okay, there is no group in Pakistan, and why not I'll start something and educate and help my people. When I say my people, it's actually this is where I'm originally from Pakistan, so I started I started communicating to Microsoft. I want your help. Please help me to build this user group back in Pakistan, and I found a very good response from Microsoft. So, and this is how where we now stand. We have so many followers for that Pakistani user group. People from Microsoft. I would like to thanks to all the people from Microsoft and especially MVPs who had come forward and asked me, okay, we are here for you. Let us know. We will come and speak onto your platform.
Mm-mm-mm. Interesting, interesting. Tell me, one thing I've observed over, I suppose, I don't know, almost the last 10 years, there's been massive growth in the Dynamics 365 CE communities around the world. There's been massive growth, of course, in the Power Platform. But, when I started in, it used to be that the big groups were all around finance and operations. But it seems that there was, maybe just in Australia and New Zealand, there seemed to be a drop off in the user groups growth, specifically around Dynamics 365 finance and operations. Is that changed? Is the community growing larger now in that finance and operations area?
I would totally agree with you. When you go out and you see there are lots of groups for the customer engagement, there are lots of people talking about Power Platform. When it comes down to the finance and operations, you will find like handful people there who are there and trying to speak into the finance and operations. This is one of the reasons I started ANZ Finance and Operations Teams Group. Uh, when I started communicating into different groups in Australia and New Zealand, I wanted to speak from finance and operations point of view. So whenever they asked me to come forward and present, so what I realized, they started talking about customer engagement and Power Platform because these are their skill sets. And uh, uh, 1 out of 10 was only the finance and operations. So I realized, okay, let me gather all my professional, and this is what we did. We said, okay, let's build a platform where we can talk about the finance and operations and Power Platform first. And coming back to that point, yes, that's right. There is one of the main reason is finance and operation is actually a very huge application compared to the customer engagement. Customer engagement, like I did work into customer engagement in one of the biggest implementation for Australia. I did work for 2 years. What I realized, it's a very small application compared to finance and operations. So you get to know customer engagement processes in 6 months. You will be a champion. You will know everything customer engagement, and then you can go out. You can talk about lots of things for customer engagement. Whereas finance and operation, it takes years to understand at least one or two modules. So then you consider yourself as a person to go. If he knows about retail, it takes around few years just to get all the knowledge about retail. And also people are so much busy into finance and operations world, I will say, but that's uh, in I would say again it's just an excuse. I need people to come forward and spread the knowledge from finance and operations point of view. Now, Microsoft has changed the whole game. There is no finance and operations, there is no customer engagement, there is no Power Platform. It's the whole ecosystem. I need to know finance and operations. I need to know Power Platform. I need to know customer engagement if I want to be in a game for the Microsoft ecosystem. The companies where we are implementing finance and operations nowadays, and this is the same approach Microsoft is taking now. Microsoft is trying to take away all the customizations from finance and operations to Power Platform. At some point, you will have only the extension points. If you want to extend anything into the finance and operations, do not touch any application there. Go back to your Power Platform, and it will be easier. So the way Microsoft is taking towards Power Platform, to me, I think if I don't want to learn Power Platform, then my area, my skill set, my job will be at risk. So then I have to take this bus now. I don't want to wait to let it go. I have to take this bus now and then ride that bus and learn how Microsoft is taking things towards Power Platform, and to learn customer engagement. It's very easy. I'll suggest everyone who is listening to me. I'll suggest try exploring customer engagement. Try to understand how the application is built there. The underlying database is same Dataverse, and you need to know all these things very quickly.
Do you think that at some point Dataverse will underpin the various modules in finance?
That's the plan from Microsoft, but it's not easy. The database from finance and operation, it's huge. Have lots of tables, lot of functionalities. Uh, this is the plan, like taking the Microsoft Finance and Operations database directly into the Dataverse. And Microsoft is seems like they are on track. They are like dual write is one of the classic examples. You can and then we have virtual entities is actually the game changing uh, uh, the option or feature. Even though the virtual entities is not new in customer engagement or Power Platform, but the way they have just changed it now, you can just get all the data from finance and operations, create your own forms or applications in Power Platform, and then you can connect. You can ask people, okay, you don't need to connect to finance and operations. This is your user interface. You you log your expenses there, you log your timesheet there, you can create your journals there, and but data will flow between finance and operations. Data will remain there.
Well, I mean, look at this. Our time's already up. We've been running, coming up 20 minutes. I always like to wrap these things up with a few quick-fire questions, which are totally random. Are you ready for your quick-fire questions?
Sure.
Okay, the first one here is, what was your first car?
Honda Civic.
Nice. What thing are you most scared to tell your parents?
I didn't pray today, Mom.
Fair enough. Last one here. What do you regret not doing when you were younger?
Not shaving my beard.
Okay. Interesting. I shaved my beard off, I think the start of this year or just at the end of last year. And like, I've got a photo of you, and I think my beard might have been longer than yours. And I've now had no beard for, I think the last 6 months. So crazy.
Okay.
Crazy. Anyhow, thanks for coming on the show.
Thank you so much, Mark, for having me.
Hey, thanks for listening. I'm your host, Business Applications MVP Mark Smith, otherwise known as the NZ365 Guy. If you like the show and want to be a supporter of the show, please go to buymeacoffee.com/NZ365 Guy, and I'd love to hear a comment, any feedback, any particular episode that really has impacted you. I'd love to see that. And with that, stay safe out there and see you next time.